Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Blue Corner into a Cardfight Vanguard deck profile. This one's going to be a quick update, this one's going to be an update to my Musketeer deck now that G set 4 is dropped and we have the new Asha card. Otherwise, not much, well actually no, that's not true. A fair bit about this deck has changed and you could argue that it's not for the better, but it's because I decided to try out a concept and it's actually working out quite well. So let's just get right into this as I have a fair bit to talk about. So, starting Vanguard is still Broccoli, Musketeer, Kira. You don't really Legion that frequently unless you're going for a big push, and you don't stride that often, so this makes this the best starter for Musketeers by default. Grade 3 searching, but most of the time you will be just sacking off for your rear guard skills. And then for the grade 3s, I am still running, of course, the best card, well, one of the best cards in the deck. The best boss monster in the deck, though, in Vera. You know, we all know what this does. When the turn that you Legion, all of your units get plus 3,000 power, and once per turn you can retire a rear guard and look at the top 5 to call a unit. So she helps correct your boards, and she helps you make big pushes, and she's your only grade 3, as I'm not running anything else. And you may be wondering, what? That's suicide. Why are you doing that? Well, that's because I wanted to build the deck around the concept of grade 2 rushing, as I've noticed, at least in my area, that a lot of our players here play only G decks, and as a result, I can basically stun them by not riding to grade 3 until they're at 5 damage, and then pushing for game. And as a result, I've built my deck accordingly with 4 12k attackers, 4 Kaivants to pop off rear guards and call out other rear guards so that I can make power columns, 4 copies of Sylvia, which is actually the reason why I can play the grade 2 stuck game, as I can just call a unit, and just attack with the full board on turn 2. It's very Royal Paladin, Gold Paladin like, and finally 2 copies of Sal. So yeah, the good bulk of this deck's offense is going to be coming from the grade 2 plays. You stay on grade 2, rush them because this is a rush deck, and you can make pretty decent numbers. If your opponent doesn't know what you're doing, they'll probably try and stay stuck with you so that they can get that first stride, and then you'll have lured them into your trap and subsequently beat them down with your much better grade 2s, especially if you're up against a stride-only deck like Messiah's. So, yeah, it's a very cancerous concept, and honestly, I kind of feel dirty doing this, but it was something I wanted to give a shot, and I was really surprised by the results. And I don't really know how Bushiroad can go about fixing this, because it's like, well, we'll just get into the ethics of this in a bit. But then for the grade 1s, I'm running 4 PGs. I'm debating if Quintet Walls are a better choice in here, because since I'm going to be on 2 a lot of the time, it's very difficult for me to maintain a hand for PGs, whereas Quintet Walls would allow me to guard things easier. But that would also run me out of my deck faster, thus forcing me to Legion quicker, otherwise I risk decking out. So it's a double-edged sword, but for now I'm running these because sometimes they're just... a lot of people at my locals are notorious for flipping double crits. In fact, I'm pretty certain one of them stacks, but we haven't been able to prove it yet. But yeah, the PGs are kind of helpful for that, or rather they're really helpful for that. Now, I can see myself trying Quintet Walls in the slot if I continue to play this deck this way. For America, she helps you make 19 and 21k columns with your 16 and 12k attacker, with your 9k and 12k attackers respectively. 3 Ruths, 10k attacker, which is great for a rush deck like this. 3 Rebecca to correct your board like Kaivant. And then 1 Susanna in order to help me unflip damage, as I'll be burning through counterblasts quite a bit until while all my grade 2 rush plays. Then for the triggers, it's actually it's the same as before. So 8 crits, 4 stands, and 4 heals. So that's the main deck itself. As for the extra deck, which is seldom used, I'm just running cards for utility purposes. So 2 Asha, because I don't have 2 more yet, and every one at Nocals who has pulled these things has apparently decided to build Neo Nectar. So there's like 2 other Neo Nectar decks present, although mine is the only Musketeer deck. So if I go up against Asha the deck, I should be able to crush it because I'm faster and I can play its same style but better. So, but yeah, 2 Flower Maiden Asha, Dreams Splinting Veronicla's Asha, 2 Jingle Flower Dragon, who I'll never use, 1 Arborea on hit, whatever, 1 Primavera, she's costly. The only real strats I see myself playing, honestly, are the Aushas, and then Madhu, because if you strat this thing on top of a Legion Vanguard, you get a 3 back from the drop zone, which allows you to recycle Varus that may have been damage checked, or you may have had a PG. So it just helps you get more uses out of Vera. And yeah, that's the deck itself. Pretty short profile, but that's because we all should know what Musketeers do at this point, and yeah. So let's take a moment to talk about, I guess, the whole ethics of this thing, because a lot of people are not happy that this is a style of play, and there are certain decks that thrive off of locking the opponent out of the game at grade 2, i.e. Royal Paladins, and the upcoming Aquaforce Ripple deck is very good at taking you from 1 to 5 while on grade 2. And as I said before, I don't know what Bushiroad can really do about this. Well, for one thing, they probably won't do anything because they don't particularly care about the player base. I mean, Bushiroad North America has tried to talk to Bushiroad Japan to get things done, i.e. best of 3, but Japan will just say no. So, it's a problem that I don't see going away, and yeah, decks that are able to grade 2 stuck a G deck will do it, and if they're really fast like Royal Paladins and this, they'll kill you for it. So, what can you do to counteract this? If your clan has grade 3s that have abilities that can be used outside of Legion, outside of Generation Break, and outside of Limit Break, like Vera's sack and call skill, I'd play that as your backup Vanguard to your Stride Vanguard, like how the Genesis deck plays Fenrir and also Yatagarasu. Yatagarasu's not well, she does have her Limit Break, which does come in clutch, but she also has her passive skill of when you guard, you can suck a unit up. And other decks like Narukami, like granted, brawlers don't really have any grade 3s with special abilities outside of Legion, but Big Bang Knuckle Bust Dragon here can attack Soul Blast and it's 14,000, which with a 7k booster behind it is 21, so you can't guard that as easy as you would other things. And basically, if you're playing a G deck and you're going to go to any major thing, you're going to have to find a way to cope with this. And if you have the option to run units that don't have Generation Break skills, like Relic Master Dragon and Gear Chronicle, you really should, as it allows you to at least counter rush plays, such as when I open like the literal nuts here and I have like a board like this, because this is very likely to happen. Kai Event sacks off my starter and proceeds to call Sylvia, who calls an Augusto, and I just so happen to have a Merca in my hand. Call down this because that's a 21 line, or I backed off a trigger with Rebecca and I called like another Becca, like something like this happens, and I swing with this, and then I hit a stand trigger and stand this back up, and this is 17 to your 7k Vanguard. It's kind of dumb, but not really. Yeah, that's pretty much all I can say here. If some people are a bit upset at this kind of deck profile, I'm sorry, but it's just something I wanted to showcase as it is a thing. And I guess it just helps illustrate the problems of the current format of Vanguard, because let's be real here, Vanguard is starting to become really, really shitty. And several people I know who really loved this game have pretty much quit because they don't like where it's going. And I don't see things improving anytime soon. In fact, I might be quitting within the next year. Who knows? As long as there's Narukami support, I'll always be willing to give it a look. But I could see myself cutting down the number of decks I own to just Narukami and maybe Neo Nectar. I don't know what else. But yeah, that's it for the deck. Sorry I got a little ranty at the end there, but I just needed to get some things out. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. And until next time, this is Blue Star 9, jacking out.